Comic fam, we got a treat for you. On the line with Craig Mitchell. And this is the first time we've had a member of the comic fam, like not YouTube associated, not like member of the show associated. No, member of the community on the mic. Let's give a big like and round of applause for Craig Mitchell. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, thanks, Tom. I'm actually really glad to be here. So it's cool to be on your show. So,
all right. Well, let's chat about why you're here, Craig, because the first thing I want to chat about is, well, let's first get this invoice on the screen. This is a rare occurrence. I talk about sales every single week. And there was a sale that happened recently that was staggering, that made its rounds on the internet, that I even mentioned on the show, knowing that it would be causing a ruckus in the community. And we have a rare occurrence of the buyer reaching out to the show to chat about the reasoning. You know, we're talking about previews. We're talking about the first preview appearance. Some may call it a true first. Some call it a real first appearance of Miles Morales. I got to know, $2,000 sale of a 9.8 catalog. Why this book? Why this character?
Well, all I can say is it's Spider-Man. So, I mean, I'm a large Spidey fan. So I have been since I was a kid. And I honestly, I think people maybe kind of overlooked this book, been looking for it for a while. And it came out. It's interesting. I actually ended up buying one of the lower grade books probably 4 days before. And then this guy came up and it was like, oh, geez, what do I do? And for 2 days, I sat there and I watched it. And finally, I decided, okay, I'm just going to reach out to the seller and throw a bid out. And this is after I did a lot of, I call it research, comparables that have sold, and, threw out a bid, and we were about $1,000 apart to start. But after, I don't know, 1 or 2 days, we finally agreed on a price. So why this book? It's a gorgeous book. You know, as far as other previews that are out there, it's say one that's not on the cover is a whole cover. And it just jumps out, grabs you. Black. It's scarce. There's only, well, at the time there was only 2 on the census, and I'm one of those guys that look for, I don't know, things that are a little bit different, I guess, a little bit more scarce, and it's something that I've been wanting for a while. So
I love hearing that you were hunting for this for quite some time. I have a question for you. So
sure.
It makes sense why you would buy the book. You're a fan of Spidey. It sounds like you invest in other types of rare appearances that may be outside of canon, catalogs and such. I want to ask you about that. But maybe before we get to that, why did you feel the need to reach out to me? You're a buyer. This is a private sale. No one knows who you are, but you felt it important to reach out. And I find that fascinating.
Yeah. So what happened is, I ended up seeing a lot of the, call them webcasts that are out there. And I just started reading through the comments about how this was a conspiracy. We worked together to pump up the price, whatever. And I just felt like, okay, I'll talk to you and say, hey, if you want, we can do whatever we need to do to dispel some of the conspiracies out there, outside of wearing a tinfoil hat, because I'm not going to do that. But yeah, and I don't know. It's funny. I was fat, dumb, and happy after buying the book, and then some of the chatter was out there, and I just started looking, and I couldn't believe what a ruckus this sale caused. I mean, I was excited you even talked about it on your show. That was I don't know, special for me, I guess. So, and yeah, it was on Key Collector, I guess, the fact that it was a record sale. So I made a screenshot of that. But outside of that, I had nothing to. I don't know why the conspiracies were that I was working with others. I didn't even know the seller. So some of the theories out there were that the seller I work with the seller to pump up the price. So, a box of these can be sold, and make people a bunch of money. I don't know. So
Well,
I
appreciate you calling
I just
in.
wanted the book.
You just wanted the book. I
So
appreciate you clearing that up. It's funny. I mentioned during the list, I said, let the comments come in. I'm trying to remember this verbatim. I said, let the comments come in, but I'll remind the community that this is the historical record. I had reported on the sale.
yeah.
And as you mentioned, the key collector update of the record happened post the sale. So I want to make sure the community understands how we put these types of things together, because although we may talk about comic books on the show that may cause excitement, that will influence the market because we are bringing attention to the market. When a catalog spikes like this, we want to make sure that we are reporting on it accurately, because this is an outlier. This is abnormal. And there's just not a whole lot of collectors like us in the community, because I'm someone who has spent money on previews and catalogs and the such. But I thought, hey, we have someone who is in the community who's collecting like this, who wants to clear this up. I appreciate it. Now, tell me what other things you collect, because I'm assuming if you're putting money into a 9.8 catalog that's super scarce, you may have some other things that may be impressive.
Yeah, well, I look at things that are maybe a little bit more scarce. I like 30 Days a Night, the Spyro edition. I got that, years and years ago off of eBay. So, and
That's
love
a
it.
great example right there, because that's on my grail list. That's like a huge grail. That's a preview that was sent out to comic book stores, not a comic book. But there was a recent sale on the CGC forums of $1,500. Not to mention the recent sale of this very catalog that we're talking about, the Miles Morales preview, of $2,500 this very week.
Yeah, and it's funny, the sale that you're referring to on CGC, the buyer actually knew I had that and wanted to buy it off of me. And I told him no, but probably a year and a half later, I saw someone selling it. So I reached out to him and said, hey, dude, there's one for sale on CGC. And he's the guy that ended up buying it.
Oh my gosh. You're killing me, man.
Thanked me. I said, welcome to the club.
That's how this goes. There's the Salt Lake City Comic-Con pamphlet, the first prototype Hellboy. It's like when these things pop up, the collectors who are hunting it typically have crossed paths before, because we're all looking for it. Craig, I appreciate you joining me on the mic today. Thank you so much for clearing this up, for sharing a little bit. I got to ask one last question. What's your favorite modern book in your PC right now?
So I got a lot of Spider-Gwens that I absolutely love. So, but I would have to say the Ultimate Fallout variant. So outside of my Marvel previews, 95.
Oh, he says that it's a Miles Morales appearance. That's his favorite. It makes sense, Comic Fam. Hit the like for me. Let Craig know that you appreciate him joining us. Have a great one, Craig. Thanks for joining us. We're going to have to do it again sometime.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, geek responsibly. That's all I have to say. So appreciate it. Thanks.
Appreciate you, brother. Keep up the hunt.